Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. We're going to be checking out a video recommended by Susan, and the title of the video that was recommended is "The USA is Collapsing. Does the Nordic model prove it doesn't have to?" So collapsing in terms of what? We're not sure, but we're going to find out what exactly we're talking about throughout the video, but it has to be something related to something special to Europe because it's the Nordic model. I'm not quite sure where this video is headed to, but we're gonna find that out as soon as possible. But before we do that, I just want to say thank you guys for watching this video. If you have any recommendations, you can leave those in the comment section, or you can click that link in the pinned comment section where you could recommend videos about Europe, and I'll check them out as soon as possible. Thank you for watching.
Denmark spends far less on healthcare and covers everyone. The US spends more and still leaves tens of millions uninsured. So here is the paradox. What happens when a nation built on distrust tries to copy a model built on cohesion? This isn't a who's better video, it's a systems question. Today, we're not just asking whether the Nordic model works, we're asking if it can work in the USA. Not just if policies can transfer, but whether the cultural software, historical roots, and institutional plumbing behind those policies can survive American soil. We'll break this down across 5 big domains: trust and taxation, labor markets and welfare, state capacity, cultural values, and the big one, freedom itself. Because here's the real story. Policy is just surface. Underneath it all are assumptions about people, society, and the state. And those assumptions don't always travel well. I'm Elle. I did my PhD in Denmark and I've spent 5 years living in the Nordic region. I'm a computer scientist by training, but what fascinates me now is culture, how trust, freedom, and systems actually function in the real world. I've lived in both high trust and low trust societies, and I've seen what happens when you try to replicate the surface without understanding the structure beneath. Let's start at the root with some historical preconditions. The Nordic model, what most people think of as social democracy, wasn't designed in a think tank. It was grown slowly in cold soil. Countries like Sweden, Denmark, Norway, small, ethnically homogeneous in the 20th century, with strong Lutheran traditions and an unusually high baseline of civic trust. After World War II, they had stable institutions, high literacy, and a shared national story that emphasized cooperation and collective uplift. Contrast that with the US, a frontier republic based on individualism, racial caste systems, and a deep suspicion of central authority. The American story is one of self-reliance, rebellion, and exceptionalism. Taxes weren't just a bureaucratic function, they were a revolutionary trigger. The government was never seen as family. It was seen as a force to be watched, limited, resisted even. Now, sociologists may call this path dependency. The idea that once a society takes a certain path, it becomes very hard to reverse or detour. So even before we talk policy, we have to ask, can a model rooted in collective identity and trust function in a society founded on radical individualism and skepticism? Now let's talk about the invisible infrastructure. Picture this, it's tax season in Denmark. You open your laptop, glance at a form that's already been filled out for you accurately, and click confirm. Done. Around 80% of Danish taxpayers file this way. The systems run by Skat already knows what you earn, what you owe, and what you're due back. It's efficient, automated, even boring. And that is the whole point. Paying taxes in Denmark is about as stressful as ordering takeout. And you don't need 5 accountants to get through it. Now drop yourself into the American version of that scene. You're knee-deep in receipts, TurboTax is nudging you to upgrade, the IRS is underfunded, backlogged, and let's be honest, broadly resented. The tax gap in the US, that would be money owed but not paid, reached 696 billion in 2022. After accounting for enforcement, the net gap was still 606 billion. That's more than Sweden's entire economy in 2023. In the US, filing taxes often feels less like civic participation and more like legal combat. And it's no accident that corporations like Intuit have spent millions lobbying to keep it that way. But this isn't just about the paperwork. It's about worldview. Only 22% of Americans trust the federal government most or all of the time, according to Pew. In Denmark, Sweden, and Finland, trust levels sit comfortably around 2/3. That difference isn't cosmetic, it's structural. In Nordic countries, taxes are viewed as a subscription to civilization, essentially. healthcare, education, infrastructure, childcare. In the US, taxes often feel like a shakedown for a service you're not really sure you're ever going to see. So
Wow, that was a good that was a good take. I don't know if the PhD paying off, but shit, that was a very good take. What she said right there with the Nordic was very good. You know, it's like a subscription for civilization, right? I think that was the exact word she used. That is very true, right? Because it take a lot of things get covered, like your social life, school, and for example, healthcare, right? A lot of those things are covered because of taxes. However, in the United States, a lot of people do believe that these things they will not benefit from them, and that's one of the reasons. If you go to most American and you ask them, and you're like, "Hey, why don't you want to pay more taxes?" They're like, "I'm not going to benefit from that. I'm not going to do this so that John over there can just sit his ass at home and don't have to work, don't have to pay any taxes, and my money goes to him." That's what the average American likely would say. So this was a very good point from her.
here is the big tension. Can you build a system that depends on mass tax compliance in a country where a majority doesn't believe that the government deserves the money? And maybe more importantly, what kind of society does that lack of trust create year after year? Now on to labor markets and welfare capitalism and the art of flexibility without fear. One of the Nordic model's secret weapons is flexicurity. It's a strange hybrid. Companies can hire and fire with ease, but workers have strong protections, generous unemployment benefits, retraining programs, universal healthcare. In Denmark, if you lose your job, you don't lose your income, your housing, or your dignity. In the US, your job is your lifeline, essentially. It's your healthcare, your identity, your survival. Unemployment insurance varies by state, is often delayed, and comes with a mountain of paperwork. So here is the trade-off. The Nordic system decouples job status from human worth. It says your dignity doesn't expire when your job does. Could the USA adopt this? Sure, on paper. But in practice, the US work culture is steeped in moralism. Hard work isn't just economic, it's moral. It raises a deeper question. Could the US ever treat job loss as a misfortune and not personal moral failure? Here's something that rarely makes the headlines. The Nordic model works not just because of generosity, but because of competence. Denmark's public sector is among the most efficient in the world. According to the UN's e-government survey, it ranks near the top globally in digital government, citizen access, and service delivery. You need a new ID? Just log in. You need a doctor? The state system is already integrated. In the US, bureaucracy often feels like slow motion entropy. Systems don't talk to each other. Citizens spend hours or weeks navigating fragmented state and federal services. And the kicker is that if Americans don't trust the state, they're...
I'll be honest, as someone who is currently living in Finland, I can actually say regarding the connectivity and being able to do a lot of things online, it's actually very amazing, actually. Like, a lot of things are done online and you can find basically everything that happens online. Like, any information, you can literally find it online, which is pretty good.
less likely to fund it. If they don't fund it, it underperforms. And when it underperforms, trust falls further. It's a doom loop. So before the US even dreams of scaling up social programs, it would need to fix its delivery system, and that might be the hardest task of all. If you're still here, thank you. This video took 4 days to make, and it generally means a lot that you spend a part of your day with it. If you'd like to support more work like this, there is a Ko-fi link below. And if not, just like the video and subscribe. The House of L is a community of thoughtful, clever people, and you're very welcome here. On to freedom and happiness, which may just be competing philosophies. In the US imagination, freedom often starts with choice. The right to own, to reject, to say no thank you. It's autonomy framed as independence. Less interference, more control. But travel a bit north and the picture changes. In the Nordic model, freedom is framed less around choice and more around security. It's essentially freedom from poverty, from illness, from financial ruin. It's the quiet confidence of knowing that one bad month won't wreck your...
That's a good contrast in two definitions of freedom, honestly. It's a very good one because when you really think about it, to have the freedom to live without worry that you'll be, homeless or indebted because of an injury, it's actually a pretty good thing.
whole life. And this isn't just political theory, it shows up in the data as well. According to the World Happiness Report in 2024, Finland, Denmark, and Iceland top the global rankings, not despite their high taxes, but because of what those taxes buy. Peace of mind, healthcare, education, and social cohesion. In these societies, collective investment isn't seen as a burden. It's seen as the architecture of life with fewer existential threats. So what happens when two cultures define the same word in fundamentally opposite ways? To many Americans, high taxes feel like coercion, a penalty for success, or a sign of government overreach. To Danes, they feel like insurance. To Swedes, their infrastructure. Same tool, radically different meanings. And that raises a deeper question. If your definition of freedom includes freedom from fear, does that expand or restrict what a society can be? If this idea of competing freedoms intrigues you, we've got another video that digs deeper into how the US and Denmark define liberty, one built on self-determination, the other on social safety. It's worth a watch if you're ready to rethink what freedom even means. So on to the most compelling part.
I think I might check that video out. She's the PhD's paying off, dog.
Actually export culture. The Nordic model isn't just policies, it's essentially cultureware. It's Jantelo and the unwritten code that says don't think you're better than anyone else. It's consensus politics. It's the absence of billionaires and the presence of strong unions. It's political quiet, not because people don't care, but because they don't have to scream to survive. The US has its own cultureware, hyper-individualism, polarization, race as a structural fault line, and a political economy shaped by lobbying and campaign finance. So yes, you can import healthcare policies, but can you import trust, modesty, consensus? As the saying goes, you can buy the software, but it won't run without the right operating system. Let's bring this down from 30,000 feet and just look at a few case studies. Healthcare. In 2023, the US spent 17.6% of GDP on healthcare. This is according to CMS. Denmark spends significantly less and provides universal coverage with better outcomes in infant mortality, life expectancy, and chronic disease. On education, crazy. Danish students pay $0 in tuition. In the US, graduates leave college with an average of $38,000 in federal debt. One system treats education like a public service, the other one like a loan. On parental leave, Sweden offers 480 days of paid parental leave per child, roughly 16 months in total, while the US offers zero federally mandated paid leave. On taxation, Norway levies a wealth tax and Germany's top rates reach nearly 48%. By contrast, the US state tax exemption is $13 million. And many ultra-wealthy Americans pay lower effective tax rates than teachers and nurses. These aren't just statistics, they're value statements. So all things considered, could the Nordic model save the US? Maybe, but only if America is willing to become less like itself. Because the model isn't just about spending more or taxing differently. It's about redesigning the social contract. It's about trust, competence, a shared fate. And most of all, it's about giving up the myth that freedom and collective care are opposites. So no, the US can just copy Denmark, but maybe it doesn't have to. Maybe the real question isn't, can we become like Sweden? But what kind of country do we still have the courage to become? Because decline isn't inevitable. It's just what happens when a society forgets what it promised its people. I'm Elle, and in a world of collapsing myths and rising data, I'm here to help you sort the signal from the...
Yeah, y'all gotta check her out, man. Link will be in the description, dog. Like, she's absolutely right. And very, 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 very good points. The United States just will never be anything like majority of the European countries. Like a lot of the things that are happening in the United States is literally based on preventative measures back, 1800, a while back. It was preventative measure to prevent certain things from happening, certain people from being successful, all kinds of things that propelled the United States to be what it is right now in the day that it is, right? It's quite unfortunate, but then you look at the European model, the Nordic model, it's really the togetherness that they had. You got to remember the United States was always been divided. It's a recent history, right? The European countries, even though you guys had World War II, you weren't really divided because, the country wasn't fighting the country, was the country fighting another country, and a lot of the countries were partnered to fight against other countries. So you were united, but the United States wasn't united as long as most of these European countries have been, in my humble opinion. So that's an issue. And still, as we speak right now, the United States is still not united because of variations of things, political, race, all these things, still not united, unfortunately. So a lot of these things just won't change because of, we the people, if that makes any sense, how we perceive things. So she's absolutely right. It was a very wonderful video. Thank you for this recommendation. I hope you guys enjoyed it just as much as I did. Please do like and subscribe, and I'm out of here. Peace.